She promised to serve without asking anything. What he said broke her silence. Alexander King, a powerful CEO, made a decision without thinking. And Emily Clark, a humble waitress, faced it with quiet strength. She promised to serve without asking for anything in return. Her unwavering kindness didn't go unnoticed. A little voice, Lily, her innocent daughter, whispered truths that even money couldn't buy. She never asks for anything, right? Alexander watched astonished as Emily continued her work, her heart pure and steadfast. He realized true loyalty and goodness cannot be commanded or bought. His question came softly, almost afraid to break her calm. Why didn't you ever ask for anything? And in that moment, Emily's silence broke, revealing a courage and warmth that would change everything. The cafe was chilly in the morning sunlight, gently streaming through the glass windows, painting streaks of light across the worn wooden floor. Emily Clark, a young woman with her hair neatly tied back, moved busily preparing trays of coffee and pastries for the customers, yet her eyes remained steadfast and determined. Beside her, Lily, her 6-year-old daughter, shrugged slightly, her gaze innocent yet full of trust. Emily took a deep breath, recalling her promise, I will do everything without asking for anything in return. That promise was like a quiet lifeline in her heart, guiding every step she took, every smile she gave. In that moment, the space inside the cafe felt different, almost magical. Wealthy patrons came and went, casting fleeting glances at Emily as she cared for Lily and served everyone, highlighting a stark contrast: rich versus poor, powerful versus ordinary. Yet it was Emily's steadfastness, kindness, and dedication that made the atmosphere warm, silently defying society's preconceptions. And then through the door, Alexander King entered, a powerful, wealthy CEO, his gaze cold and unreadable. No one could have guessed that this small, seemingly ordinary moment would begin to change both of their lives forever. Chapter 1. The First Cold Encounter. Early in the morning at CEO Alexander King's office, the winter sunlight filtered through the towering glass windows, casting thin streaks of light across the polished wooden floor. The air was thick with the scent of paperwork and coffee mingled with an undercurrent of tension. Alexander, clad in a flawless black suit, stood behind his expansive desk, his gaze cold and calculating. Every movement he made radiated power, authority, and an unwavering dominance. Emily Clark stepped in, balancing a tray of coffee and documents, her eyes never leaving her tasks. She gave a polite nod. Good morning, Mr. Alexander. I've brought your morning drinks just as you requested. Her voice was gentle, composed, yet carried a quiet strength, born of determination and dedication. Alexander glanced at her, slightly frowning, his tone icy. Set it down there. I don't need long explanations. His words were sharp and clipped, slicing through the room, leaving Emily momentarily frozen. Everyone in the office, including Rachel, his loyal assistant, felt the tension stretch taut like a tightrope. Yet Emily showed no fear, no hesitation. She placed the tray on the desk, with care, smiling softly. Yes, understood. If there's anything else you need, I'll prepare it right away. Her voice remained gentle, but her eyes were resolute. In that instant, Alexander sensed something unusual, a quiet, selfless steadfastness in this young woman standing firm in a world ruled by power and money. Rachel watched silently from the side, her hand trembling slightly, as she observed Alexander's expression. He was wrestling internally, torn between irritation at Emily's gentle words and the surprising recognition that she was unshaken by his authority. Emily picked up the documents she had prepared, took a small sip of coffee, then inclined her head once more. "Mr. Alexander, your morning is ready. I hope this helps you start your day smoothly." Her words were simple, yet they carried warmth, softening the office atmosphere just a little. Alexander paused longer than usual. He realized that Emily possessed something his power could not control: pure kindness and steadfastness. A strange feeling crept into his chest, a mixture of confusion, hope, and astonishment. It had been a long time since he encountered someone ordinary, seemingly insignificant, who could make him pause and reflect. That moment lasted only a few seconds, but it was enough to change the rhythm of the entire day. Emily withdrew gracefully, still courteous, still diligent, yet aware that Alexander's gaze followed her every move. Their first encounter had been cold, yet her calmness and determination planted seeds of hope in the heart of the powerful CEO. And Alexander King, who had long believed that power and wealth were everything, began to understand that there were things more valuable than money: sincerity, kindness, and the quiet strength of a determined ordinary person. Chapter 2. Small Acts, Big Impact. The next morning, winter sunlight streamed through the small cafe's windows on the corner street, casting thin ribbons of light across the polished wooden tables. The space still carried the scent of freshly roasted coffee, mingling with the clinking of cups, the rustle of chairs, and the soft footsteps of arriving customers. Emily Clark, still in her simple blouse and dark trousers, moved gracefully behind the counter, preparing drinks with focused hands and a warm, gentle presence. Lily, her daughter, sat perched on a high chair nearby her tiny fingers, following every move her mother made. The cafe seemed to breathe in peace under Emily's care. Not a single gesture was wasted. When an elderly customer stepped inside, Emily swiftly approached, smiling warmly. "Good morning, sir. Please take a seat. I'll prepare a hot coffee for you right away." Her tone was gentle, yet full of respect. The old man nodded his eyes, lighting up with appreciation. While serving, Emily noticed a hurried customer phone ringing incessantly, a handbag slipping to the floor. In an instant, she bent down, picked it up, and carefully placed it back on the table. The customer turned around, panic replaced by surprise and admiration. "Thank you. I don't know what I would have done without you." Emily just smiled and shrugged softly. "It's nothing. Just a small thing I could help with." Every small action, from arranging chairs, neatly wiping tables, to placing a hot cup of coffee in front of a customer, made those around notice something unusual. Emily didn't do any of it for attention or praise. Everything came from the heart, guided by a quiet promise she had kept all this time to serve, without expecting anything in return. Lily watched her mother work, eyes wide. "Mom, you're so kind. You help everyone without asking for anything." Emily bent down, placing a hand on her daughter's head. "I just want to do what's right, Lily. Helping others brings joy, not obligation." Her words seemed to resonate with Lily, eyes sparkling while quietly touching those who watched. A nearby customer, observing Emily from the corner of his eye, couldn't hide his emotion. "This girl, she's truly different." Emily didn't realize that Alexander King, the powerful CEO, was walking nearby. He stopped in front of the cafe, gaze cold, yet curious. His colleagues often remarked that Alexander rarely paid attention to the ordinary details of life. But today, something made him pause. Through the glass, Alexander watched Emily pour coffee carefully for a trembling customer smile at Lily help the flustered visitor retrieve a fallen bag and orchestrate the cafe's flow with gentle confidence. A strange feeling stirred within him. Sincerity and kindness could make people stop, make hearts respond. Emily was unaware of the deep impression her small deeds left. She simply followed the guidance of her heart. When a young woman tripped outside, Emily rushed over, lifted her carefully checked for injuries, and guided her safely into the cafe. The girl, initially startled, looked at Emily with gratitude and emotion. "Thank you so much. You're truly kind." Emily smiled. "Don't worry. I just want everyone to be safe." Inside, people began to notice. Emily's ordinary actions filled with kindness spread a quiet warmth. Lily whispered, "Mom, you're amazing." Emily kissed her daughter's forehead, eyes sparkling with simple joy, living in accordance with her promise. From across the street, Alexander couldn't look away. He felt the powerful impact of Emily's small yet meaningful actions. He wondered, a simple, ordinary girl, yet she makes people feel things money and power never could. Confusion, astonishment, and a glimmer of hope seeped into his heart. For the first time in years, Alexander truly recognized the value of deeds born from the heart. Emily continued her work, serving customers, wiping tables, smiling at satisfied patrons. Each act inspired those around her colleagues, visitors, and especially Lily, who witnessed everything. She radiated a positive energy that reminded everyone of the importance of kindness, even in the smallest gestures. Mid-morning, an elderly businessman accidentally dropped his wallet. Emily, without hesitation, bent down, checked every compartment, and returned it to him. "Everything is here, don't worry." The man looked at her with admiration. "You're incredibly thoughtful. The world needs more people like you." Emily just smiled humbly. "I only do what I can." Even through the glass, Alexander stood in quiet reflection. He realized that kindness didn't need wealth or power to create impact. It was the quiet, selfless acts that truly moved people. A new warmth, a feeling he had never known, seeped into the heart of the powerful CEO. As Emily prepared to clear the last table, Lily ran to her side. "Mom, you helped so many people today." Emily hugged her, glancing toward the window where Alexander watched. A quiet joy swelled within her. She didn't need recognition or reward, only to live true to her promise. The cafe's gentle light, the soft piano music, the aroma of fresh coffee all blended to create a warm, emotion-filled scene. Emily's actions not only helped the customers, but ignited faith in kindness and the power of heartfelt deeds in those observing, including the CEO himself. Alexander King, in his perfect black suit, stood lost in thought. He never imagined that a small, ordinary, yet steadfast and kind girl could make him stop, watch, and reflect on himself. A part of him began to change. He felt that some things were more important than power, wealth, or status. Small acts rooted in kindness, sincerity, and determination could create a profound impact, one even Alexander King could not deny. Emily continued serving, smiling at every satisfied customer. Lily held her mother's hand, eyes wide with admiration. Emily not only kept her promise, but inspired everyone around her. Her small acts were creating a quiet, powerful ripple, slowly reaching the heart of a powerful man, changing the rhythm of the little street and setting in motion a series of events that would alter both their lives. When Emily noticed Alexander standing thoughtfully at the window, she smiled inwardly. "I'm just doing what's right." But maybe doing what's right can make a difference. The cafe, the warm light, the music, the laughter, the aroma of coffee all came together to form a scene both ordinary and deeply emotional. Emily's small acts were not just helping others. They were planting in every observer, even the powerful CEO, the belief that true kindness has the power to change lives. And from that moment, Alexander King began to understand that sometimes big impact doesn't come from wealth or power, but from small, quiet, sincere actions from the heart of an ordinary person like Emily Clark. Chapter 3: A Child's Innocence. The afternoon sun softened winter light, fading as it streamed through the cafe windows where Emily and Lily were sitting. The air remained warm with soft piano music, playing through the speakers, blending with the rich aroma of coffee. Lily, a 6-year-old with clear, sparkling eyes and golden hair, sat perched on a high chair, quietly observing her mother at work. Emily attended to each customer with care, arranging dishes, wiping tables, and pouring coffee. Every movement was gentle, yet filled with quiet devotion and joy. Lily watched her mother's eyes shining with admiration. She whispered, "Mom, you never complain or ask for anything, do you?" Emily smiled, bending down to kiss her daughter's forehead. "I just want to help people, Lily. There's no need to receive anything in return." Her voice was soft and tender, yet carried a quiet strength. At that moment, Alexander King, the powerful CEO, stood outside the cafe, peering through the glass. His gaze lingered on Lily, the innocent child who seemed to speak a truth that money and power could never obscure. Lily's simple words cut through the icy barrier Alexander had long built around himself. "Mom never asks for anything." He paused, lost in thought. Just a single phrase, yet it awakened a long-forgotten sensation within him, a genuine emotional stir in response to selfless kindness. Alexander realized that in a world dominated by power and wealth, it was rare to find someone acting purely out of goodness, and even rarer for that to touch his heart. Emily continued her work, unaware that each gesture, each smile made Alexander stop and reflect. He watched her support each customer, care for her daughter, and uphold her promise to serve without expectation. A mixture of astonishment and deep emotion swelled in him. He had never seen an ordinary small person wield such power to move others. Lily looked at her mother, her clear eyes reflecting Emily's kindness, and Alexander suddenly understood the difference. Money, power, social status, they all faded in comparison to the force of genuine kindness and sincerity. He recognized that Emily did not serve for praise or attention, but because she wanted to do what was right, bringing joy and safety to those around her. In that moment, Alexander felt his heart stir a strange yet authentic sensation. He was both confused and hopeful that sincerity and kindness still existed, and that they could change one's perspective on the world, even for someone as powerful as him. Emily bent down, placing a cup of coffee in front of an elderly customer, her gaze soft. Lily whispered again, her voice innocent but insightful. "Mom, you're really amazing. People will notice you, won't they?" Emily smiled, embracing her daughter, her eyes glowing with quiet joy. "As long as I do what's right, Lily, nothing else matters." Alexander stood silently outside the window, eyes brimming with emotion. He sensed that true strength did not lie in power or wealth, but in the human heart, in unconditional kindness and sincerity. A feeling of astonishment and warmth, both strange and comforting, washed over him. The moment lasted only a few seconds, yet it was enough for Alexander to recognize a simple yet profound truth: actions born from the heart, no matter how small, could touch others and shift their perspective on the world. Through her steadfastness and selfless kindness, Emily had planted a seed of hope in Alexander. Hope that people could still be good, sincere, and capable of changing even the coldest of hearts. Emily rested her hand on Lily's shoulder, glancing toward the window where Alexander stood, and smiled softly. She had no idea that her quiet devotion and kindness were moving a powerful CEO, opening the door to a journey that neither of them would ever forget. From that moment, Alexander King realized that in a world of power, sometimes the most valuable things were not status or wealth, but the genuine stirrings of the heart in response to selfless goodness. Lily, with her innocence and sincerity, had made him pause, reflect, and feel a small moment with a profound impact, opening a gateway to change in the heart of the most powerful man. Chapter 4. Twist of Fate. That day, the city basked in the pale afternoon sunlight. Yet the atmosphere in Alexander King's boardroom was taut, like a tightly stretched string. The expansive office on the top floor appeared cold, with glass walls and sleek furniture, the faint yellow light reflecting off the marble floor. Board members sat focused eyes on Alexander, awaiting his decision on an important project. Emily Clark, still modestly dressed in a light blouse and dark trousers, stepped into the room, carrying urgent client files. All eyes turned to her, filled with surprise. No one had ever seen a lower-level employee appear in such a luxurious boardroom, let alone participate directly in a meeting. Lily stood outside holding her mother's hand, curiosity and slight worry in her eyes. Alexander looked at Emily with vague skepticism. How could this ordinary small girl appear in a place of ultimate power? Yet inside, he could not deny the curiosity and anticipation stirring within him. He saw in Emily's eyes a quiet determination, a faith in herself and in the work she had pledged to do. Emily approached the table, gently placing the files down. Her voice was calm yet confident. "I apologize for interrupting the meeting. I know I am only a service staff member, but these files may help you better understand our customers' needs and unresolved issues." A whisper rippled through the boardroom. Where did she come from? Rachel stood quietly behind her eyes, encouraging. Alexander felt his throat tighten, yet a part of him began to stir at Emily's courage and loyalty. Emily continued, her gaze fixed on Alexander. She highlighted overlooked points, forgotten customers, and situations the company could improve to enhance experience and maintain trust. Every detail she presented was precise, compelling, and completely devoid of any desire for recognition or personal gain. The board members fell silent. Some furrowed their brows, others nodded subtly. They had never seen an ordinary employee with no direct stake stand before the board to defend loyalty and dedication. Emily had not only fulfilled her duties, but voluntarily demonstrated that small, heartfelt actions could create a significant impact. Alexander felt his heartbeat quicken. He realized this was an unexpected moment, a twist of fate, where someone seemingly ordinary could shift the atmosphere, even influence his decisions. A mixture of excitement and emotion coursed through him, revealing the true value of loyalty and selfless dedication. Emily concluded her presentation looking directly into Alexander's eyes. "I only hope my work benefits the company and everyone involved. I ask nothing more." Her voice was gentle, yet carried a strength that money and power could never buy. At that moment, Alexander rose, pacing around the table, eyes a mixture of surprise and emotion. He had never seen anyone like Emily, a normal person without rank, yet daring to stand among the powerful, to speak the truth, to demonstrate loyalty. The boardroom was silent, captivated by this small yet powerful story. Emily remained calm, presenting quietly and waiting patiently. Her steadfastness demanded attention, inspired respect, and more importantly, prompted Alexander to question how he treated his employees' loyalty and even himself. A board member, typically cold and pragmatic, quietly remarked, "She is truly different." The words struck like a subtle reminder, emphasizing the latent power in small, sincere actions. Alexander stepped closer to Emily, his gaze warmer than before. He took the files gently. "Emily, thank you for offering a different perspective. I truly appreciate your loyalty and dedication." His voice was deep and warm, a stark contrast to the cold tone she had first encountered. Emily looked slightly surprised, eyes glistening. She bowed her head and shrugged softly. "I only do what I can. I just hope the work is done well." Alexander stood silently reflecting. He realized that in a world of power, sometimes unexpected actions from the smallest people could change how the most powerful perceive the world. A twist of fate, a turning point, yet holding a simple truth: loyalty and genuine dedication always create impact, regardless of who performs them. Emily returned to her seat quietly. Lily stood behind her, holding her hand, eyes wide with pride and amazement. She understood that her mother had done the right thing, and that it was creating change not just in the work at hand, but in the hearts of those observing. Alexander watched Emily from the boardroom window, a mix of anticipation and emotion rising within him. He had never imagined that an ordinary employee could make him pause, reflect, and feel so deeply. Emily's kindness, loyalty, and determination planted a new belief within him that sometimes small, quiet actions from the heart are what truly change the world. The moment lingered, yet it was enough for Alexander to recognize an important truth. Power and wealth may achieve tangible results, but loyalty and sincere dedication create profound shifts in human hearts' perspectives on the world and even in the most critical decisions. Emily returned to her table, smiling softly at Lily, her eyes full of peace and contentment. She needed no recognition, no reward, only the knowledge that she had acted rightly and left a positive impact. The surrounding scene, the pale golden light, soft piano music, the rustle of papers and chairs, all blended together, creating a space that was tense yet warm, filled with emotion. And from that unexpected twist of fate, Alexander King began to realize that destiny and loyalty sometimes appear in the most unexpected ways, compelling even the most powerful to pause, reflect, and feel. Emily Clark, through her sincere yet unexpected actions, had opened a new door to long-buried emotions, a door leading to change, not only for her and Lily, but also for Alexander King and those around them. Chapter 5. The moment of reflection. The afternoon gradually faded winter sunlight, dwindling behind the tall buildings, leaving thin streaks of light reflecting off the windows of CEO Alexander King's office. The vast space, bathed in soft golden light, had suddenly fallen into an unusual quiet. Alexander stood alone by the window, hand propping his chin, silently gazing down at the bustling street below. Inside him, thoughts flowed continuously, like waves breaking against rocky shores, both overwhelming and soothing. The scene from the boardroom earlier that day. Emily Clark, an ordinary girl standing among the board members, daring to present loyalty and dedication, remained vivid in Alexander's mind. He could not forget her steadfast gaze, her gentle yet persuasive voice, and the quiet humility that was simultaneously powerful enough to command silence. Alexander let out a soft sigh, a sense of shame washing over him. He asked himself, why was I so cold toward her? Why didn't I recognize the value of actions born from the heart? It had been a long time since he had faced such an emotional stir, a feeling that no money or power could measure. He reflected on how he had treated Emily from their very first encounter, cold, harsh, sometimes under the guise of justice, but in truth, an exercise of sheer authority. The image of her bowing, gently placing the coffee tray down with steady yet tender eyes, made him pause and question himself. A profound sense of regret began to spread through Alexander. He stepped away from the window, pacing the office, eyes resting on the polished wood table where critical decisions were usually made. Recalling each moment from Emily's gaze, while serving customers, caring for Lily, to her soft yet powerful words before the board, Alexander realized that kindness and loyalty did not stem from power or wealth, but from the heart and will of a person. He stood still, remembering all the times he had dismissed small acts by employees simply because they did not immediately yield economic benefit or enhance the company's image. Alexander began to understand a company's success depends not only on strategy or authority, but also on the loyalty, dedication, and goodness of those around it. The image of Emily bending to pick up a customer's handbag, smiling gently, helping the elderly, caring for Lily, all of it reflected like a mirror, revealing what he had long overlooked. Alexander felt his heart soften, a quiet healing seeping through each beat. He knew he had been wrong, and what mattered now was recognizing true value and embracing change. He sat down in a leather chair near the desk, hand resting on his forehead, eyes staring into the empty space ahead. In his mind, each word, each action of Emily formed pieces of a larger picture: steadfastness, selfless kindness, and quiet loyalty. Alexander realized these qualities, once small and overlooked in his eyes, held immense power, capable of touching even the hearts of the most powerful. His breathing slowed, his heartbeat softened. Alexander began to confront himself, facing his mistakes, the coldness, and the ego shrouded by power and wealth. He felt shame for having dismissed Emily, for having used authority to impose himself without realizing that she had been teaching him a priceless lesson: true kindness, loyalty, and doing what is right do not require praise or reward to exist. Alexander rose, walking around the office, eyes conflicted yet determined. He recalled the moment Emily stood straight in the boardroom, her eyes steadfast, her voice gentle yet firm. I only hope my work benefits the company and everyone involved. I ask nothing more. Those words echoed in his mind, revealing that sometimes the greatest strength does not lie in power, but in quiet sincerity. He turned to the window, gazing down at the busy street. People hurried about their lives below. Yet Alexander felt an unexpected connection to the world around him. Small, sincere, and quiet acts could soothe hearts, warm souls, and change the perspective even of the most powerful. He thought of Lily, the innocence in her eyes, when speaking of her mother. Mom never asks for anything. He smiled softly, a deep stirring in his heart. He began to understand that Emily did not serve out of obligation, but to live true to her promise to plant faith and happiness in the lives of those around her. Alexander quietly approached the desk, touching the remaining files from the meeting. Looking at the pages, he realized he must change the way he perceives and learn to value small, loyal, and sincere acts. Emily's goodness was a test, a reminder of the value of character, and he could not miss the opportunity to learn. He exhaled, a sense of relief washing over him. He had clearly seen his mistakes, and the important thing now was to begin change. He felt a gentle healing within, as though the layers of cold he had carried for so long were melting under the warm light of kindness. In that moment, Alexander King realized one thing: power, money, and status are merely tools. True value lies in the human heart, in loyalty, kindness, and selfless actions. Emily Clark, an ordinary, small yet determined girl, had taught him a lesson no one else could: how to recognize the worth of people and heal oneself. He stood quietly by the window for a while, eyes resting on the street, breathing steady, mind calm. Alexander knew that from this moment onward, the way he treated employees, colleagues, and himself would change. He had recognized the value of kindness, and it was a lesson Emily had silently yet firmly given him. A soft piano note drifted up from the cafe below, mingling with the warm aroma of coffee, soothing Alexander's heart. He smiled gently, eyes glistening with emotion, and whispered to himself, "I must do what is right, not just for work, but for the values this girl has taught me." Time seemed to pause, and Alexander felt a healing warmth spread through his entire being. He had acknowledged his mistakes, felt Emily's true worth, and most importantly realized that loyalty and kindness do not need praise or reward to exist. They are by themselves powerful enough to change even the hearts of the most powerful. The surroundings fell into calm. Pale golden light filtered through the windows, reflecting on the desks and polished floors. Alexander King stood silently contemplative, and for the first time in years, he felt his heart warmed, his spirit healed, and himself ready to move forward with a new perspective on life, on people, and on himself. Chapter 6: Breaking the Silence. Late in the afternoon, pale golden light poured through the tall windows of Alexander King's office. The space seemed quieter than ever, with only the soft piano music drifting from a speaker in the corner, mingling with the faint chill of wind slipping through the cracks. Alexander stood by the window, hand propping his chin, eyes gazing out at the bustling city below. His heart still raced, a mix of anticipation and an unfamiliar stirring emotion coursing through him. Emily Clark stepped into the office, gently closing the door behind her. Lily had slipped out from behind the desk, holding her mother's hand, eyes wide with curiosity and slight concern. Emily carried a few files and a paper tray, her steps light, yet purposeful, reflecting the quiet determination she had maintained all this time. Alexander turned to face her. This time, there was no coldness, no sternness, only a calm, gentle gaze laced with surprise and a hint of unease. He walked a few steps toward the desk, looking directly at her. A quiet hush filled the room, and Emily sensed the difference in the atmosphere. "Emily," Alexander began, his voice, deep and warm, slightly trembling, so unlike the cold authority he had once displayed. Why have you never said anything? Why have you kept silent, even though what you've done could have changed so much?" Emily remained quiet, eyes downcast, fingers lightly gripping the files. She had never imagined that her small acts would be recognized by the company's powerful CEO in this way. Her heart raced, yet warmth spread within her. She knew this moment was significant, and what she was about to say could transform their relationship. Alexander stepped closer, each step deliberate but slow, giving Emily time to prepare. He sat in a chair, eyes never leaving her. "You've done everything quietly, kept your promises, and I realize now that I was wrong with you from the very first meeting. I was too cold, too rigid, and never truly appreciated actions born from the heart. But now, I see clearly, Emily, that your sincerity and kindness are things money and power could never buy." Emily lifted her head, eyes shining with surprise, gradually filling with emotion. She felt each heartbeat pulse strongly, yet a calm serenity flowed within. Alexander's words were like warm water washing over her heart, dissolving the icy walls that his authority and coldness had once built. You really think so?" Emily whispered, voice trembling slightly. She could not have imagined that the company's most powerful CEO, whom she had once feared and kept her distance from, would speak so gently and sincerely. Alexander nodded, his gaze deep. "You've shown me that true strength does not lie in power or position, but in steadfastness, loyalty, and selfless dedication. I want to hear you speak. Break the silence, Emily. Tell me what you feel, what you've wanted to say for so long." Emily drew a deep breath. Alexander's words had awakened courage within her. She no longer felt fear or the need to stay silent out of respect for power or status. She had chosen the right moment, the right person, and now her heart overflowed with trust. "Mr. Alexander," Emily began, her voice gentle but resolute. I just want to do what I promised. I want to help people without expecting anything in return, without anyone knowing or praising me. I have kept that promise from the very first day I joined the company, from the moment I vowed to serve anyone in any situation with dedication." Alexander listened, eyes glistening with emotion. He realized that Emily was not only speaking of her promise, but demonstrating the power of loyalty and steadfastness. Small, seemingly simple actions carried the power to change hearts, including his own, a CEO once cold and authoritative. Emily continued, voice trembling yet strong. "I've learned that sometimes it's the quiet, sincere acts that can truly change everything. I don't seek reward, but I hope I've done right, and that those around me, customers, colleagues, even you, have felt that sincerity." Alexander fell silent for a long moment. He had never felt so moved by small, quiet actions. His heart warmed, his pulse slowed, and the shame from his past cold behavior gradually dissolved, giving way to healing and hope. He stepped forward, placing a hand gently on Emily's shoulder. "Emily, You've taught me a precious lesson, not just about loyalty and dedication, but about how people can change each other through acts born from the heart. I apologize for the times I've been cold, and I truly appreciate all that you have done." Emily felt tears welling in her eyes. For the first time, she broke her silence, not to argue, not to defend herself, but to acknowledge that her actions had been recognized, had touched the heart of a powerful person, and had made a real impact. She smiled, tears streaming down her cheeks, feeling the pressure and hesitation of the past melt away. Lily stood beside her, holding her mother's hand, eyes full of joy and pride. She realized that her mother had just taught even the powerful CEO a lesson in kindness and loyalty. The office seemed to glow warmly, as if the sunset light had filled every corner, melting away the frost. Alexander stood quietly, eyes on Emily, heart brimming with emotion. He realized that this moment, Emily breaking her silence, was a gentle yet powerful climax, opening a path of healing, not only for her, but also for him, a man once cold and unyielding. He smiled softly, exhaled slowly, heartbeat calm, sensing a rare peace permeate his body. Emily bowed her head, hands resting lightly on the desk, voice trembling, yet serene. I just want to help without expecting anything in return." Alexander responded, warm and steady. "And you have far more than I imagined. Keep going, Emily. That is how the world changes, one step at a time." In that moment, the office was filled with a sense of healing, gentle yet powerful. The coldness that had once dominated melted away, replaced by hope, trust, and sincere gratitude. Emily no longer needed to remain silent. She had broken the barrier, and both she and Alexander were stepping into a new journey where kindness, loyalty, and sincerity could change even the hearts of the most powerful. Sunlight from the setting sun streamed through the windows, reflecting off the polished floor, marking a new chapter, a chapter filled with emotion healing and the beginning of profound transformation in the hearts of both the powerful CEO and the steadfast, ordinary girl. Chapter 7: Public Apology. The next day, in the boardroom of King Corporation, tension hung in the air, but so did a sense of anticipation. Natural light streamed through the tall windows, reflecting off the polished wooden tables in a soft golden glow. Board members, from investors to senior managers, had gathered awaiting an important meeting. Yet today felt different. A curious, eager energy filled the room. Alexander King entered perfectly dressed in his black suit, but his eyes no longer carried the usual sharp coldness. Instead, they were calm, serious, and quietly sincere. Everyone noticed something unusual. The company's most powerful CEO carried an unexpected humility. Emily Clark stood silently beside Rachel, clutching her file's eyes, filled with both worry and anticipation. She wasn't sure what would happen, but a gentle sense told her this moment would be a turning point. Lily stood behind her, lightly holding her mother's hand, eyes bright with curiosity. Alexander approached the podium, taking a deep breath. He scanned the room, eyes pausing on each board member before finally resting on Emily. His voice was deep and steady, resonating through the room. "Board members, today I want to take a few minutes to speak about an important matter I have long failed to fully recognize." He paused, eyes fixed on Emily. "Emily Clark, our service staff has quietly and steadfastly helped our customers, colleagues, and the company without ever expecting anything in return. I once overlooked those small actions, considering them insignificant. But today, I realize that it is Emily's loyalty and selfless kindness that are truly invaluable. The room fell silent, only the rustle of paper breaking the stillness. Every gaze turned toward Emily. Some board members furrowed their brows, surprised at seeing Alexander show such appreciation publicly for the first time. Alexander continued, "I have been cold toward Emily. I failed to acknowledge what she has done, and that was a mistake. I apologize to Emily for the times I treated her unfairly and overlooked the true value she brings to this company." Emily's eyes widened in surprise, glistening with emotion. She had never expected the company's most powerful CEO to publicly admit his mistake. Lily held her mother's hand tightly, pride shining in her eyes. Alexander inhaled deeply, voice softer, yet still clear. King Corporation will always honor acts born from the heart and those who are loyal and dedicated. I want us all to recognize that power and position are never reasons to overlook the true worth of people. The board members began nodding, admiration slowly replacing surprise. Some smiled, understanding the lesson Alexander had imparted. It is not just power or wealth that creates results, but loyalty, dedication, and quiet kindness. Alexander looked at Emily once more, voice gentle. "Emily, I want to give you the opportunity to continue your work this time with full respect. Every action of yours will be acknowledged, and I want you to know that our company values you not for your position, but for the person you truly are." Emily's throat tightened, tears welling up, but a radiant smile spread across her face. She bowed slightly and pressed Lily's hand gently. "Thank you. Thank you so much. I will continue my work with all my dedication." Lily hugged her mother tightly, eyes sparkling with joy. She realized that this moment not only changed the CEO's perspective, but also opened a new chapter in her mother's life and for their family. Alexander stood there, a sense of fulfillment flowing through him. For the first time in years, he felt his heart healing, connecting with another person, not through power or wealth, but through sincerity and kindness. A board member, once cold and pragmatic, whispered to a colleague, "Such a brave, ordinary girl." And Alexander finally recognized it. Heads began to nod, eyes filled with admiration and satisfaction. Emily noticed the gaze of everyone in the room, including Alexander's, realizing she was no longer an anonymous lower-level employee. Her small but sincere actions had made a profound impact, changing the perspective of a powerful CEO and earning the respect of the entire board. Alexander smiled softly, looking at Emily, and Lily, heart calmed. He knew this moment, the public apology and acknowledgement of Emily, was not only an act of correction, but a turning point, opening a path of healing and spreading trust and respect throughout the company. Emily bowed her head, smiling, tears still streaming, yet feeling lighter than ever. She understood that kindness does more than create impact through actions. It touches the soul, changes people, and opens opportunities once beyond imagination. The boardroom seemed softened, pale golden light reflecting off tables and walls, blending with the gentle piano music, creating a space filled with fulfillment, satisfaction, and admiration. Alexander's public acknowledgement was not just an apology, it was proof of the value of loyalty, steadfastness, and sincerity. Alexander addressed the room, voice warm and steady. "Remember, every action born from the heart no matter how small, can create a significant impact. We will always value these actions, and from today, the company will never overlook the true worth of people. Board members nodded, eyes filled with respect. A wave of satisfaction and fulfillment swept through the room. Emily stood quietly smiling, tears streaking her cheeks, soul lightened. Lily ran to hug her mother, eyes innocent yet brimming with pride. This moment marked a significant turning point. Kindness and loyalty were no longer overlooked, but acknowledged and respected. Alexander King, the powerful CEO, had learned a precious lesson about human value and the power of small, sincere actions. From this moment on, Emily Clark, an ordinary yet steadfast girl, was no longer an anonymous employee. She became a symbol of kindness, loyalty, and quiet strength, leaving everyone who witnessed it filled with admiration, satisfaction, and respect. Chapter 8: A New Beginning. The next morning, soft sunlight streamed through the windows of the cafe, where Emily Clark often worked. The space retained its warm charm, filled with the rich aroma of freshly roasted coffee and the gentle strains of piano music in the background. Lily sat on a high chair beside her mother, eyes wide with curiosity and joy, sunlight glinting off her golden hair, creating a scene of calm and hope. Emily stepped in, carrying a tray of hot tea, smiling gently, yet with quiet determination as she looked at the customers. But today felt different. She no longer felt like an anonymous lower-level employee. After yesterday's public meeting, where Alexander King had apologized and shown his respect for her in front of the entire board, everyone in the company and many customers now recognized Emily's kindness, loyalty, and steadfastness. She was beginning to be acknowledged, not just for her work, but for the person she truly was. A regular customer entered, eyes sparkling with surprise. "Emily, I heard about you yesterday. I'm really impressed. You did something amazing." Emily smiled, bowing her head lightly. "Thank you. I just do what I can." The customer's gaze was filled with astonishment and admiration, and gentle applause from nearby patrons made the cafe feel warmer than ever. Outside, Alexander stood at the window, a soft, warm smile on his face. He watched Emily continue her work. But this time, she was more than just a server. She had become a symbol of kindness and steadfastness, her small but sincere actions reshaping the way he viewed everything work people and the true value of character. Emily served each customer with gentle care, her eyes reflecting newfound confidence. She knew her actions were now appreciated, and it made her heart warm without a hint of pride. Lily watched her mother, eyes shining, as she saw the attention and respect her mother received. The little girl felt the joy radiating from her mother. Throughout the morning, many customers, both old and new, stopped to greet Emily. Some praised the way she cared for every detail with dedication. Each action was acknowledged, but the most precious change was in her heart and the hearts of those around her. Customers, colleagues, and especially Alexander, all recognized the power of kindness and steadfastness. Alexander entered the cafe, and the space seemed to fall into a calm hush as he approached Emily. He smiled gently. "Emily, today, I want to thank you for everything you've done. You've not only helped the customers, but you've also helped me understand the true value of people." Emily turned to him, her eyes meeting his, a soft smile appearing. "Thank you. I just want to do what is right." Her voice was gentle, but brimming with confidence. Alexander looked at her, his heart full of happiness and hope. He realized that not only Emily, but the entire company and everyone witnessing her work were learning a valuable lesson. Kindness and loyalty born from the heart always create a profound impact far beyond power and wealth. As the day continued, Emily returned to the office, where colleagues who had once overlooked her now looked at her with admiration and greeted her warmly. She sat at her desk, feeling the difference. People saw her with respect, no longer dismissing or underestimating her. She smiled, warmth spreading through her body, heart full of hope. Alexander entered the office, standing by the window, watching Emily and her colleagues. He felt a deep sense of fulfillment, pride, satisfaction, and emotion all mingled together. Throughout the day, he witnessed Emily truly being recognized, and he knew that her small but sincere actions had transformed not only her own life, but also the workplace environment, creating an atmosphere of warmth, trust, and hope. Emily tidied her desk, arranging files carefully, attending to every small detail as she always did. But now, each action carried even greater significance. She was no longer the anonymous girl of the past. She had become a living image of steadfastness, kindness, and quiet strength. Lily stood beside her, eyes sparkling, sensing that her mother had entered a new chapter full of promise and hope. Alexander sat at his desk, sipping coffee, eyes on the bustling street below. He felt his heart soften, a healing sense spreading from Emily's small but sincere actions. He realized that true strength sometimes does not lie in power or title, but in acts born from the heart. Emily looked around the office and noticed how people's perception of her had begun to change. They smiled, nodded, and looked at her with respect. She felt the power of kindness and steadfastness, a quiet yet strong force. Every moment became evidence that an act born from the heart could change the world one person at a time. Alexander stood approaching Emily. "You've done something extraordinary, Emily. Not with power or title, but with kindness and loyalty. I'm proud to have you in this company." Tears welled in Emily's eyes, but they were no longer tears of fear or stress. They were tears of happiness, respect, and healing. She smiled, looking at Alexander. Then Lily, realizing that a new chapter had begun. A chapter filled with hope, recognition, and warm relationships. The surroundings, the golden light streaming through the windows, the gentle piano music, the rich aroma of coffee, and the respectful gazes of colleagues all blended to create a warm, hopeful, and healing atmosphere. Emily stood, feeling each heartbeat, each gaze, knowing that from this day forward, her life and work would step into a new page, one where kindness, steadfastness, and sincerity were always valued. Lily ran to hug her mother, eyes sparkling with joy. Alexander King, the powerful CEO, watched the mother and daughter, his heart full of satisfaction and pride. He knew that the journey of transformation had begun not only for Emily, but also for himself and the entire company. Emily looked down at Lily and smiled. "We've stepped into a new beginning, Lily. A beginning full of hope." From that moment, warm light filled the cafe, the office, and the hearts of those who witnessed it. Emily was not only recognized, she had become a symbol of kindness, steadfastness, and quiet strength, bringing hope and healing to everyone around her. Chapter 9. Family and Trust. A gentle afternoon, sunlight spread across the city, the warm glow reflecting through the office windows and painting streaks of light on the polished wooden floor. Emily Clark and her daughter Lily sat together in the courtyard of the cafe near the office. The surroundings remained bustling, yet time seemed to pause as mother and daughter savored a rare moment of peace after days full of pressure and change. Emily placed a hand on Lily's shoulder, looking at her with tenderness. "We went through a lot today, didn't we, sweetie?" Lily smiled, eyes shining with joy. "Yes, Mom. Everyone knows how kind and steadfast you are. You're amazing." Emily smiled, kissing her daughter's hair lightly. "I just did what I believed was right. But I'm glad you understand." The moment radiated warmth, and Emily's heart felt completely healed. She realized that it was not recognition or work that mattered most, but the bond and trust of her daughter. Lily had become a bridge, helping Emily understand the value of sincerity and honesty, and now also a bridge connecting her to Alexander in a gentle but profound way. Alexander King entered the cafe courtyard, and the space seemed to brighten at his presence. This time, there was no cold authority in his gaze, only warmth, respect, and sincerity. Emily was slightly surprised. Lily's eyes widened, but both felt the safety and goodwill in his every step. "Hello, Emily." "Hello, Lily." Alexander greeted gently, his voice deep and friendly. "I hope we can take some time today to talk not about work, but about connection, about trust." Emily looked at him, curiosity and caution in her eyes, but warmth spread through her heart. Lily held her mother's hand, eyes wide, not with fear, but with trust and happiness. Alexander sat beside the two of them, and the distance between them suddenly felt closer than ever. He began sharing the days when he had been cold and imposing with his authority, acknowledging his mistakes in failing to see Emily's value. His voice carried both remorse and sincerity. "Emily, I once underestimated small actions. I failed to appreciate your dedication and loyalty, but now I understand that is true strength. And I want to learn how to trust, how to build sincere relationships, not just with you, but with your little family as well." Emily felt her heart stir, tears rolling softly down her cheeks. She realized Alexander not only wanted to apologize and show respect regarding work, but also wanted to enter her personal world, wanting to support and protect her small family. Lily looked at Alexander, eyes bright, shrugging playfully. "Mr. Alexander, Mom, is always kind to everyone. And now, I see that you are kind to her too." Alexander smiled slightly, bowing his head in reply. "Thank you, Lily. I hope to build a relationship of trust and warmth with both you and your mother." Emily felt a gentle stirring in her heart, a soft thread of trust weaving through. She understood that this relationship would no longer be about work or authority, but about sincere connection, where all three of them could find warmth and happiness. Alexander placed a hand lightly on Emily's shoulder, gaze gentle. "Emily, I want us to create an environment that is not only fair at work, but also full of trust and respect. I want to support you, not just as a CEO, to an employee, but as a friend, someone you can rely on." Emily was silent for a moment, feeling both surprised and moved. She knew this was the moment that marked a true shift. A relationship no longer built on power or imposition, but on sincerity, trust, and mutual respect. Lily hugged her mother tightly, eyes on Alexander. "Mr. Alexander, my mom is always kind, and I believe you will always be good too." Alexander smiled warmly. I promise, Lily, I will do my best to deserve the trust of both you and your mother. The surroundings grew warm, the golden light of sunset streaming through the windows, reflecting on the floors and tables, mingling with the soft piano music, creating a sense of calm happiness and peace. Emily felt a gentle trust in her heart, realizing that Alexander was no longer the cold CEO, but someone ready to learn, trust, respect, and connection. They talked, laughed softly, and shared everyday stories. Emily spoke of Lily, the small but meaningful moments she had experienced, while Alexander listened, eyes filled with admiration and happiness. The connection between the three of them became natural, sincere, and warm. As the sun set, its light filled the room. Emily realized this was the most memorable moment of her life connection. Trust and sincere affection had created a small family, not only mother and daughter, but also Alexander. Once a stranger, now an essential part, bringing safety, warmth, and hope. Alexander looked at Emily and Lily, heart full of happiness and fulfillment. He knew that the trust they had just built would become the foundation for lasting relationships, not only at work, but in personal life. This trust, nurtured by sincerity, kindness, and quiet actions, was the most valuable lesson he had ever learned from Emily and Lily. Emily held Lily's hand, looking at Alexander, feeling a warmth overflowing. She knew that from this moment on, they were no longer just colleagues or CEO and employee, but a small family united by trust and sincerity. A sense of happiness filled her, entirely gentle as the sunset light streaming through the windows. The entire space glowed with warmth and hope. Emily realized that family and trust were not just built through words, but through actions and sincerity. Alexander had learned to trust Lily, saw her mother being respected, and Emily felt the warmth and happiness from both of them. All three stood together, gazing out the window, sunset light reflecting on their faces, creating an image full of warmth, hope, and healing. This moment marked a new beginning, where family trust and connection were nurtured by kindness, steadfastness, and quiet love. Emily took a deep breath, hugging Lily, eyes on Alexander. "We'll move forward together, won't we?" Alexander nodded, a warm smile on his face. "Yes, Emily. We will move forward together with trust, sincerity, and warm hearts." Lily laughed joyfully, wrapping her arms around her mother, eyes sparkling with happiness. Emily felt her heart light and gentle and at peace, knowing that from this moment they had built a true small family, where affection, trust, and sincerity created the greatest strength. The sunset light spread throughout the cafe, piano music playing softly, mingling with laughter, gazes, and smiles of the three of them, creating a warm, happy, and healing space. Emily realized that life could be transformed by sincere actions, trust, and connection, and this moment was the living proof of that truth. Chapter 10. The Heart of Leadership. The sunset draped the city in gold, reflecting off towering buildings. Soft light danced across the streets and the empty office floors of Alexander King. He stood alone on the top floor, hands resting on the railing, gazing down at the bustling traffic below. The expansive space was filled with quiet stillness, giving Alexander time to reflect on himself and the events of the past days. His heart still stirred, but this time with a gentle feeling. The small, steadfast, yet sincere acts of Emily Clark had created a profound power, not only transforming the company, but also changing Alexander himself, a man long accustomed to authority. He thought of their first encounter, the coldness he had shown, and realized that even small actions had left marks on both of them. And now, through kindness and perseverance, they had opened a new chapter together. Alexander closed his eyes briefly and inhaled deeply. He felt fortunate to witness the power of goodness and character, things that money, power, or position could never buy. Emily, an ordinary yet determined young woman, had taught him lessons about sincerity and integrity. Her quiet actions, born from the heart, had opened a new door, not only for him, but also for her small family and everyone around her. He recalled the moment Emily stood before the board, presenting with confidence and loyalty. The small acts in the cafe, the care for Lily, her dedication to serving customers, all of it had made Alexander realize that true strength did not lie in power, but in character and kindness. A sense of healing spread through his heart, melting the icy walls he had long built. Alexander opened his eyes, looking down at the city. The traffic, the lights, the bustling life below, no longer mere scenery. In his eyes, these were people, each with their own story, each act carrying value, and every small kindness worthy of recognition. He asked himself, how many values have I overlooked in the pursuit of power and money? The question revealed to him that true leadership required more than intellect and authority. It demanded heart and character. He turned his gaze toward the sky. Sunset clouds blushed pink and gold, radiating peace and hope. Alexander realized that from now on, his leadership would be different, no longer cold or imposing. It would be guided by respect, trust, and appreciation for every individual. Emily had shown him that character and kindness not only change a person, but also transform the surrounding environment. He remembered the moment Emily broke her silence, sharing everything she held within. That resonance reached his heartbeat, dispelling the loneliness and pressures he had carried. Now he understood that true leadership meant seeing people through their actions and hearts, not merely titles or benefits. Alexander inhaled deeply, looking down at the streets. He saw Emily and Lily standing outside the cafe, golden light illuminating them, creating a warm, hopeful scene. He realized that small, yet sincere acts, steadfastness, and integrity were the foundational bricks of true human value and of true leadership. He vowed silently, I will never overlook such values again. I will always honor and recognize goodness and sincerity, no matter who they are or their position in the company. The sunset illuminated his face, highlighting thoughtful but peaceful features, as if all pressure and tension had melted away, replaced by healing and profound understanding. Alexander turned back to the office, glancing at Emily and Lily, feeling happiness spreading through him. He understood that leadership was not only about business decisions, but also about inspiring, respecting, and fostering goodness. That goodness, small yet persistent, could create real change, not only in the company, but also in the hearts of people, families, and society. Emily looked at Alexander, eyes soft and full of trust. She sensed a change in the powerful CEO. He was no longer just a leader, but someone who recognized, respected, and inspired through action and character. Lily hugged her mother, eyes sparkling, feeling safety, warmth, and happiness. Alexander stood quietly, taking a deep breath, eyes on the streets below. He realized that true leadership required heart sincerity and kindness. These were the values that truly made a difference, healed, and spread hope. He looked at Emily and Lily with appreciation. You and your daughter have taught me the most valuable lesson. Not power, not money, but kindness and character. Emily smiled her eyes, reflecting happiness. Lily hugged her mother's eyes, shining with trust and warmth. In that moment, the three of them seemed to merge into one, creating a living portrait of humanity, kindness, and moral strength. Alexander returned to the window, gazing at the city. He realized that from this moment onward, his leadership would be completely transformed. Every decision, every action would be guided by respect for people, trust, and kindness. This is the true heart of leadership, not just power or intellect, but character and heart. Sunlight streamed through the office windows, reflecting on polished floors, creating soft golden streaks. Alexander King stood by the railing, eyes solemn yet peaceful, looking down at the lively streets below. No longer the cold, absolute CEO, he was now filled with respect and admiration for Emily Clark. Emily entered the office carrying a tray of tea, eyes shining with joy and confidence. She looked at Alexander, smiling softly. Thank you for trusting me and giving me the opportunity. Alexander nodded, voice warm and gentle. You deserve it, Emily. Keep working the way you believe is right. I will always support and honor you. Emily turned to the window, watching Lily play happily outside. She embraced her daughter, heart-softening warmth spreading through her entire being. Every tension, every worry, every tear of the past seemed to dissolve, leaving hope and serenity in their place. That moment extended beyond the office, from the cafe to the streets, all blending with the soft piano music, the rich aroma of coffee, and the golden light. Emily realized that kindness and love recognize no social status, wealth, or authority. They exist in small, quiet acts, yet have the power to heal and inspire trust in every heart. Alexander approached Emily and Lily, his gaze gentle. The three of them stood together, looking down at the city, feeling the renewed connection where trust was restored and hearts healed. A wave of hope, peace, and happiness filled the space, marking a new chapter in their lives. In that moment, everyone could see a simple yet profound truth. Love, kindness, sincerity, and integrity are the true forces that change lives, bind people together, and heal long-standing wounds. Emily, through quiet steadfastness and goodness, had planted seeds of trust. And Alexander, through respect and sincerity, had learned what it meant to be a humane leader. The story closes with the three of them standing together, sunset illuminating their faces, smiles, radiant hearts, warm, brimming with hope for the days ahead. From this moment on, they would move forward together, believing in kindness, sincerity, and the power of human character.